بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته وصحبه أجمعين. To kick things off, Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Some of you have introduced yourselves already. For me, I'm Ibrahim. I'm one of the writers here at Traversing Tradition. And yeah, this is my first time hosting. So if I'm not that lively of a personality, apologies. With me is my co-host Abu Bakr. You want to introduce yourself?
Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, I'm Abu Bakr, and I am also one of the writers at Traversing Traditions. I sound a bit ill. I can assure you, alhamdulillah, I'm fine. It's just my voice a bit hoarse, but yeah, I think we'll crack on, inshallah.
Inshallah. And again, yeah, Jazakallah khair for joining us today for this webinar with Dr. Recep Şentürk. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. We had like a little debate about how you're supposed to pronounce it beforehand, but I'm glad I nailed it. For those who aren't familiar with him, Dr. Şentürk currently serves as a professor of sociology at Ibn Khaldun University, of which he's also the founding president. With regards to his background, after graduating from the School of Islamic Studies at Marmara University, he did his MA in sociology at Istanbul University, after which he pursued a Ph.D. in the same subject at Columbia University in New York. So he's been around the block, mashallah, tabarakallah. He served as a researcher at the Center for Islamic Studies in Istanbul. He's the founding director of the Alliance of Civilizations Institute. He's also the head of the International Ibn Khaldun Society. He's published a number of works in English, Arabic, and Turkish on a variety of topics. The ones relevant for today will be the sociology of religion, social theory, civilization, and for the purpose of this discussion, we'll be focusing on his most recent project, which is Wusul Academy. I think I've said enough, but Dr. Şentürk, it's great to have you here. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair for taking the time for this.
Thank you very much for this introduction.
Alhamdulillah. I say let's jump right into it. In terms of questions, so once again for our attendees who weren't here earlier, we have a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You should see like a little Q&A icon. Please reserve all questions for that tab. Inshallah, we'll do our best to get through them. The reason we're using that tab is just we don't want the chat to get to be like flooded with questions, and we end up missing some. But in terms of the topic at hand, before getting to Wusul Academy in particular, as you will notice, the name Ibn Khaldun has come up a lot in Dr. Şentürk's introduction, and so we'd like to start off there because Ibn Khaldun, for those who don't know, is widely regarded as the grandfather of sociology. And so Dr. Şentürk, if you could, inshallah, could you give us a brief glimpse into the history of that subject in relation to religion, and expanding on that, in what ways would you say the sociology of Ibn Khaldun differs from modern sociology?
Yes, thank you very much, Ibrahim, for this important question. I am very much interested in Ibn Khaldun for several reasons. And the most important one, today, if you want to gain intellectual independence, academic independence in the field of social sciences from the dominant hegemonic understandings of social science, which is Eurocentric, positivistic, atheistic, materialistic, modern or postmodern. If you want to gain independence from the hegemony of this type of social science, we need to rely on our resources. And Ibn Khaldun plays a very important role in that conjecture. Ibn Khaldun is usually seen as the founder of modern social sciences, precursor, forerunner. However, I disagree with this. I say he is not the precursor, he is the alternative to modern social sciences. Because when you say precursor or forerunner, that means he played a role in the past, but now he's no longer relevant. He's outdated because people after him, they passed him. You know, they came up with ideas and theories that are like more sophisticated, more improved. But I say he's not the precursor, he's the alternative. We founded International Ibn Khaldun Society with two of my friends, Farid Al-Attas from Singapore and Bruce Lawrence from Duke University. And the purpose of International Ibn Khaldun Society has been to show Ibn Khaldun as an alternative to modern Eurocentric positivist social sciences. And the best way to do this, we decided through applied Khaldunism. And by applied Khaldunism, we mean that rather than praising Ibn Khaldun and talking about how great he was, just show why we should care about him by implementing his ideas to current issues. Demonstrate that his methods, his theories, his ideas will help us better understand current social problems and solve the issues we face today. Until now, we organized several international Ibn Khaldun symposiums in Istanbul. We invited scholars from around the world, Muslims and non-Muslims, who believed that Ibn Khaldun presents an alternative to the present social sciences, and they implemented Ibn Khaldun's theories, concepts, methods to current issues we face, be they economic, political, educational, or religious, and demonstrated comparatively that his theories helps us better understand current issues and helps us better solve the problems we are facing today. So this is what we call applied Khaldunism. And Ibn Khaldun is distinguished from the present day social scientists for not being Eurocentric. And by Eurocentrism, I mean universalizing European experience, presenting it as if it's natural, as though all societies must have the same experience, as though all societies must go through the same processes that Europe went through, as if it's natural, objective, universal, not taking into account that this is regional. You know, it happened in Europe, and other societies must have different trajectories, and also presenting positivistic, materialistic understanding of social life and reality as if it's natural, and everyone must accept it because it is scientific, right? So this is what I mean when I say Eurocentric social science. There are efforts to go beyond Eurocentrism in the world, even in the West. You know, they want to go beyond it, but it's very difficult for them to go beyond this Eurocentric understanding, because what do you have beyond Eurocentrism? They have nothing, but we have great scholars in our civilization. We can utilize, tap those sources and come up with something that can serve as an alternative. So in this conjecture, Ibn Khaldun really is really very helpful. And today in the world, there is a movement called decolonizing the curriculum. If you decolonize the curriculum, what's your alternative? You know, what kind of alternative curriculum you will put in the place of the existing curriculum? So it's not easy for people from other cultures and civilizations to offer an alternative. But we Muslims, we are, mashallah, blessed, you know, with a rich intellectual heritage from which we can draw and present new alternatives. So Ibn Khaldun is a symbol. There are many Ibn Khalduns in our intellectual history. We chose him as a symbol. There is Imam Ghazali, there is Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, Ibn Sina, Farabi, Rumi, many of them, hundreds of them. But some of those people who study Ibn Khaldun, they say he was a lonely star in his sky. He had no predecessor and he has no follower. This is nonsense. Because if you read autobiography of Ibn Khaldun, he introduces his teachers, and he has many teachers. It's clearly evident. He has a book called At-Ta'rif Ibn Khaldun. This is his autobiography, where he introduces his teachers. And also he was Ash'ari in Kalam. So that means he belonged to that school. He was like a part of that school of thought. So that means he had predecessors, in particular Fakhruddin al-Razi. He followed him, and he was Maliki. So that means he was part of this chain of jurists, and he was also Sufi. So that means he was part of the chain, like the Sufi chain, because he has a book on Tasawwuf, Shifa'ul Alil. This is his book on Tasawwuf. So that means he was well embedded, well networked with the scholars in his time, and also from the previous ages, he was their inheritor. And in later generations, there were many followers of Ibn Khaldun. In particular, in the Ottoman milieu, he was known and he was respected, and his work, in particular Muqaddimah, was translated to Turkish. Shaykh al-Islam, Pirizadeh, translated his Muqaddimah in 18th century. So how can you say he had no followers? And later, another great scholar, the author of Majalla, this codified Islamic law, he again complemented the translation of Pirizadeh, and Muqaddimah is one of the first books that was published in the Ottoman print house after Ottoman print house was opened right away. So Ottomans knew him very well, and there is what people call Ottoman Khaldunism. Ottoman Khaldunism, Ottoman political thinkers, historians, they followed Ibn Khaldun's ideas, and it is Ibn Khaldun's paradigm is the secret behind the survival of Ottoman state for 7 centuries. So they incorporated Ibn Khaldun's vision and wisdom in building their state and making it continue, survive. And there's a long story about it. I don't want to go into details, but if you have another session, I can go into details about Ottoman Khaldunism and how Ottomans, used Ibn Khaldun in their understanding of politics. For instance, Dairatu Siyasa, circle of politics, Ibn Khaldun drew in Al-Muqaddimah. This was very common among Ottoman intellectuals. They called it Dairatul Adala, circle of justice. And there are many drawings of it by the Ottoman artists and scholars. We can go on. And during the Republican period, Turkish intellectuals and academics, they were aware of Ibn Khaldun's legacy. And one of the leading thinkers, Cemil Meric, he wrote as follows: sociology is the secular theology of the West. We have to return to ourselves. And returning to ourselves means returning to Ibn Khaldun. So I think it's better to end here so that we continue with other questions.
Jazakallah khair for that. You actually touched on a number of points. The second question was going to be related to Ibn Khaldun's influence, particularly in the Ottoman realm, but you've kind of given us quite a in-depth look at that.
Yeah, there is a nonsense claim that like some people, they say like Ibn Khaldun was discovered by the Westerners first, then later, Muslims showed respect to Ibn Khaldun because Westerners respected to him. But the historical research demonstrates just the opposite. Muslims have always been aware about Ibn Khaldun's work and legacy.
See, Jazakallah khair for that. Could you expand a little bit more on this, on the statement that sociology is like the secular theology of the West? Could you expand on that a little bit? You've spoken already about the Eurocentric nature of modern academia. Could you provide some tangible examples of how a theological approach to sociology, or an Islamic approach in particular, might look different to that Eurocentric approach?
Yes, I mean, the founder of sociology, Auguste Comte, he wanted to establish sociology as a religion, and he called it religion of humanity. And he said the traditional religion will disappear, and he wanted to replace that traditional religion with science. And he said science will be the religion of humanity, the positivistic science. And he said the laboratories, the labs, will be temples of that new religion. And the scientists will be priests of that new religion. See what I mean? So you see this imagination. So this is really reflected in sociological thinking. So sociologists, especially in the beginning, they try to explain out religion. Like where did we got religion? So they wanted to explain it out to undermine religion. And one of the first books about religion by Durkheim, it's titled Primitive Forms of Religion. So he tried to show religion is a social construct. Society produced religion. It's not from God. We built religion to serve some social functions. And these functions are very important for us. So even though religion has no truth in it, we should keep it, because it's useful for society, although it's not true, but useful for society. So let's keep it. But Auguste Comte was thinking differently. Let's replace it with another ideology to serve the same functions, to unify society and give meaning to the lives of people. So these are all theological issues. I mean, these are big questions, grand questions, and academics, a researcher, are not supposed to deal with these questions. These questions should be left to theologians or philosophers. That's why after 1960s, these imaginations, these imageries, produced by the early sociologists from 19th century, they were abundant by sociologists like Peter Berger, Robert Bellah, and many others in the field of social religion. So they abandoned this linear evolution, which has been dominant in the field of sociology of religion, because linear evolution is something that cannot be proven empirically. It's a fiction. Like Marx has this evolution, like people moving, in history from one stage to another one. Durkheim has another fiction, like, linear evolution, people moving through all these stages. And Auguste Comte has another one, so there are many versions of this social evolution. So after World War II, sociologists abandoned this linear evolution and also trying to undermine religion. So they said, we are interested only in the social manifestations of religion. but not trying to replace religion with another alternative religion. However, the questions social sciences try to answer today are the same questions religions answer, like what's a just society, you know, and what's good society. But in particular, in Islamic civilization, we have a discipline called fiqh. The subject matter is amal of that discipline. Amal means human action. So human action is studied by two disciplines. One is Western social science, the other is fiqh. You know, they both study human action. You know, so you have a choice. Either you study human being, human action, human society by using fiqh or ilm imran of Ibn Khaldun, or Western paradigms, Western social science. Okay, so you have a choice for this, and the Islamic paradigm is multiplex. That means it has multiple layers. So using it, we can incorporate insights from positivist research. So if something is proven through research, we have no problem, we can accept it. But when it comes to its interpretation, we don't accept materialist interpretations of the data. You know, we have our own interpretation. I mean, when we look at human beings, we accept that human beings have body, mind, and soul. And when we look at existence, we accept that there is visible world, the material world, and there is invisible world, alam al-ghayb, alam al-shahada, alam al-ghayb, and then the divine world. So our understanding of existence, of the universe, and also the human being is different. Same way for human action. You know, when we look at human action, we see that there is visible and invisible side. There is niyat, which is in the heart. It's invisible. It's a button, you know, invisible, but at the same time, observable action. So two levels. So the positivists, they focus only on the observable aspect, and the idealist sociologists, they focus on the unobservable aspect of human action. But our approach is multi-layered, which I call multiplex. You know, by multiplex, I mean something that has multiple levels. So we are not reductionist. Our approach to human beings, human action, and society is very sophisticated, very holistic, comprehensive, and our understanding of the universe is reflected in our understanding of society and human action.
Jazakallah Shaykh. You've already touched on the idea a bit when you talk about this multi-layered approach to studying the social sciences. But you, in the Usul Academy's website, it says part of its aim is to fill the gap that has been left by modern universities and the thinking that they do and the teaching, the ideas that they teach. What are the gaps that you feel that have been left, and how do you think that Usul Academy will succeed in filling them?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, present day sciences, they focus only at the material existence, and they miss other levels of existence, like metaphysical level of existence and the divine level of existence. So Usul Academy will complement by teaching these other levels of existence. And at the same time, the present day paradigms, approaches in modern academia, they focus only on one source of knowledge, which is sensual, empirical, based on observation and experimentation. But Islamically, we accept that revelation is also a source of knowledge, and even dreams may be a source of knowledge as well. So our approach is much broader than the present day positivistic approach, which is purely empirical. So we accept reason as a source of knowledge, empirical research as a source of knowledge, and the wahi, divine revelation, and other sources, subjective, spiritual sources as sources of knowledge. So we have epistemological pluralism. We allow people to have different ideas about epistemology, different ideas about sources of knowledge. So we can accommodate different discourse communities in our perspective. So this is what I call open science. Our science is open to different views, different ikhtilaf, different mazahib, different schools of thought in fiqh, different schools of thought in philosophy, in tasawwuf, in all different areas. But at the same time, we respect to the views of people who are outside of Islam as well. So the open science leads to open civilization. The fact that Muslims have this diversity, this diversity is made possible by this multiplex perspective, this multi-layered approach to the world and to the knowledge as well. So it has practical consequences. I mean, this uniplex, single-layered, flat view of the world, which is very reductionist, leads to authoritarian political systems at the end, because anyone with a different idea is excluded. But this multiplexity can incorporate people with different views, because it's very comprehensive, it's very sophisticated. So Usul Academy will complement what's missing in the academia by introducing this multiplex perspective, which is rooted in our intellectual tradition, in our academic tradition. The motto of Usul Academy is rooted renewal, rooted revival, التجديد المؤصل. So rootless revival is impossible. It's not going to produce anything. I mean, the bigger, the longer the branches of a tree, the longer its roots must be. So there must be a commensurability between the branches of a tree and the roots of a tree. If a tree is 10 meters long, the roots must also equally long. Otherwise, the tree cannot stand. So if you want to revive, Islamic thought, civilization, so it must be rooted in our tradition. Usul Academy program is designed for students who are already enrolled in a university or graduated from university. This is a part-time program, an online program to allow students to learn about Islamic intellectual tradition in a sophisticated manner, in a serious manner. It's a 4-year program for those who know Arabic, but for those who don't know Arabic, they have to study Arabic for a year, but academic Arabic, not spoken Arabic, not street Arabic, because we don't want to teach how to shop in the bazaar. We want to teach them how to read classical, scholarly, academic books. So there's 1 year academic Arabic prep, and then 4 years program, and it is 8 hours per week. So we call it dual degree program to indicate that you do your academic education or professional education in a university, but get Islamic education from Usul Academy, complemented, supplemented. So Usul Academy is the primary education in our view, because it grounds you in your own intellectual tradition, and it will also help you shed light to contemporary issues from an Islamic perspective. So this Usul Academy curriculum has several components. As I have mentioned, there is Arabic component. Then the madrasa curriculum, the traditional madrasa curriculum, Indian Muslims, they call it Ders-i Nizami. Yes, but Ders-i Nizami Ottoman way. So it includes classical Arabic grammar, logic, argumentation, and rhetoric. These are called instrumental or auxiliary disciplines. Then there is like Islamic sciences, Islamic disciplines such as fiqh, tafsir, hadith. So parallel to this, we also have contemporary issues in social sciences such as bioethics, comparative psychology, comparative political thought, comparative education. Students will study these traditional disciplines and then their contemporary applications. So we don't want them just to get this old type of knowledge, but we will teach them how to implement it to present day issues. So that's the curriculum of Usul Academy. We will also have some sohbet to add the spiritual dimension, the moral dimension in our curriculum as well. So those like Arabic and Islamic disciplines, they will be for grades, but contemporary issues in social sciences, they will be like pass and fail. Or if you are serious about it, you can take it for grade as well. But the sohbet hour, it will be only for auditing. So we want to really make it easy, for students who are already in the university or graduated from the university and working now, like someone who has a job, taking care of the family. So it will be really easy, like 9 hours online. It's like manageable, flexible. We will also have like summer retreats in Istanbul as a reward, to our students to come to Istanbul, meet with their sheikhs, teachers, great scholars, and enjoy Istanbul, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair for that look at the with the overview of the curriculum. I want to zero in on one point actually, because I believe someone had asked this as well. You mentioned in particular the Ottoman madrasa system being the sort of like foundation for it, and it seems the curriculum is founded upon that. Would that necessitate then that the curriculum will focus on a exclusively Hanafi Maturidi paradigm, or would there be options available for one of the attendees mentioned, like a Shafi, Ash'ari? Would you see the program like broadening to encompass other sort of Sunni schools?
Yeah, actually, Ottoman curriculum was very comprehensive, because under Ottoman rule, Malikis lived, Hanbalis lived, Shafis lived, Hanafis lived, Maturidis, Ash'ari, even the Shia, they all lived under Ottoman, empire. So Ottoman madrasa tradition is very rich. It's not like doctrinal, just Hanafi, Maturidi. We have like great Ottoman Shafi scholars, Maliki scholars, like Ibn Khaldun. He's Maliki, but we followed Ibn Khaldun. See what I mean? But when I say Ottoman, I don't mean like narrowly Ottoman. As I said, it's Ders-i Nizami. Similar, like same thing with Ders-i Nizami, like Indian Muslims have, and also very similar to the Arab madrasa system, whether it's in the Middle East or in North Africa, it's the same thing. So it is not like Turkish. See what I mean? It's it incorporates because at that time our madrasa curriculum was standardized all over the world. So it goes back to Imam Ghazali and the Madrasa Nizamiya in Baghdad during the Seljuk period. So Imam Ghazali fixed that curriculum and it spread everywhere in the Muslim world, in Africa, in the Middle East, in the Ottoman world, like through the Seljuks, and then to the Asia. Pakistan, Iran, India. So it's the same curriculum, which Imam Ghazali formulated. And even today, this curriculum is maintained. I believe following this curriculum is very important. Why? Because groundedness in classics empowers the students to be able to read other classical works. Like if you go through this education, then it will be easy for you to read Ibn Khaldun, to read Imam Ghazali, to read Fakhruddin Razi, to read Bukhari, to read Muslim, to read Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, Ahmed bin Hanbal, no problem. Because you read classical works under the supervision of a teacher. Then you are empowered, you strengthen your muscles, your intellectual muscles. I mean, you could teach the same subjects using modern textbooks, but then students will have no access, to the literature in the classical literature in Arabic. So that's why we emphasize those classical textbooks and following the classical Islamic curriculum. So when I say Ottoman, I mean the Islamic curriculum, the traditional Islamic madrasa education, because it was the same everywhere. I mean, I visit like North Africa, India, Pakistan, Turkey, Balkans. I get really surprised how similar it is, how Muslims reach this standardization and unification of their curriculum. And we owe this to Imam Ghazali, who for the first time formulated this in Baghdad and established madrasa nizamiya curriculum at that time. So we need memory to be able to think. If you lose your memory, you cannot think. Like people who suffer from Alzheimer, they lose their memory. But they cannot think, so Usul Academy brings this memory back by offering you this classical Islamic education. Losing your memory is called amnesia. Today, like Muslim intellectuals, Muslim societies, they suffer from amnesia. They know Western intellectual heritage more than Islamic intellectual heritage. They know Western philosophers, authors, thinkers, more than Islamic thinkers. So Usul Academy will bring this memory, it will restore it, and this will enable thinking. Because without memory, no thinking. So that's why we emphasize this curriculum. But at the same time, as I said, there are two tracks in the curriculum. One track, this traditional disciplines, the other track, contemporary disciplines, but from a comparative and critical perspective. It's like we will offer social theories like economics, politics, psychology from a comparative and critical perspective to critically understand modern psychology. I mean, we are not against the insights proven by modern psychology or modern sociology or modern political science or modern economy. We are not against them, but we are against the way they interpret those findings from their ideological perspective. So we will offer this to our students, inshallah ta'ala.
Okay, Jazakallah, Sheikh. You seem to be able to read my mind, because every question I come up with, subhanAllah, you answer it. But I just want to go back to one of the statements you made about this at the start, just recently graduated from a social science, and this movement called Decolonize the Curriculum that seems to be spreading everywhere. People seem to talk about without any concept.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we need to decolonize our hearts, decolonize our minds, decolonize our curriculum. Our hearts are colonized, our minds are colonized. actually more than colonized. Our minds are hacked. Our hearts are hacked. So we think, we feel the way they want us think and feel. But how can we decolonize, our minds, hearts, and curriculum by unearthing, excavating, reviving our intellectual tradition, and grounding ourselves on that tradition. However, we cannot afford being conservative. We cannot go and live in history. We have to bring that tradition to the present day and make it speak, to the present questions. So our curriculum is designed to be able to do this. That's why we have two tracks. One track, traditional Islamic disciplines; the other track, contemporary issues and modern social sciences. So if you combine both, you become Zul Janahayn, someone with two wings to fly. Otherwise, if you are someone who's conservative, somebody who prisoned himself in traditional education, not knowing what's happening in the modern world, you're not going to become a good scholar of Islam. Or the other way around, if you studied only modern disciplines, have no foundation in Islamic sciences, you're not going to be a Muslim thinker, right? You have to combine both. I believe Usul Academy is a movement of decolonizing the curriculum. Usul Academy is a movement of decolonizing the hearts. Wusul Academy is a movement of decolonizing the minds. That's our ultimate purpose.
Jazakallah khair. One of the attendees has remarked that a lot of what you're describing parallels with the discourse of the Islamization of knowledge, which Dr. Atas, we mentioned earlier, has written about, and also the late Ismail Farouqi also spoke about this as well. Would you say that the Usul Academy's vision is in line with this Islamization, or I don't know how you describe it?
It's called Islamization of knowledge. No, we are different than that because we believe in tajdeed, not Islamization. Tajdeed means, we grow on our roots, rather than borrowing something and painting it in green and putting Bismillah, somewhere hanging, Bismillah, and then to Islamize it. No, we don't want this. We want to grow on our roots. We have something, and we want to revive it. It's different than borrowing something wrong and trying to Islamize it. So, we have our own house. We want to repair it. We want to restore it, renovate it. We are happy, living in it. So we're not homeless, to move to someone else's house and then try to make it our own. We have our own disciplines. We have our own thinkers. We have our own knowledge. We need to revive it. Islamization implicitly assumes we have nothing, and those people, they have something, but what they have is wrong. We need to take it, but we cannot take it as it is. We need to make some changes in it. But our methodology is different. We say we have our own tradition. We should interact with the present knowledge and with the present disciplines. Interact with them, and we are open to learn from them as long as it's proven. So we should be just but critical. We should be critical and just, the way our ancestors did like we learned from Greeks a lot of things, but we are very critical of Greek philosophy, right? I mean, we did not say Greek philosophy is trash, throw it away completely. Even Imam Ghazali, who criticized metaphysics of Greeks, he said their medicine is okay, geography is okay, you know, but he said they cannot have access to metaphysical knowledge except through divine revelation. That's why their claims in that domain is wrong. I mean, we translated all the Greek works except mythology. We said this is nonsense. Gods fighting with each other and cheating each other. This is nonsense. So we did not translate mythology from Greeks. Also, I mean, they had sculpture making. Greeks are very famous in sculpture making. You know, we did not take it because it's wrong from our perspective. It's useless for us. So we were open but critical. And today we will follow the same strategy. We'll be open, you know, vis-a-vis knowledge of other cultures and civilizations, in particular the Western knowledge, but we'll be critical, open and critical, you know, fair and critical. You know, if they have something proven empirically or rationally, we'll take it. But when it comes to its interpretation, we have our own interpretation, because even they disagree when it comes to interpretation of the findings, when it comes to interpretation of the data. So why should we follow, I mean, their interpretation? We should have our own interpretation from our ontological, epistemological, and methodological perspective. So that's why I call our Islamic tradition open science tradition, open civilization tradition. You know, we have our house, but our door is open.
Jazakallah Shaykh. And we're going to move slightly away from the technical question now, because a lot of the audience have questions about the actual university and how it's going to operate. And so I'm just going to ask them so that people interested in starting studying with you can get them answered.
Yes, they can go and visit our webpage, Wusul Academy.
Yeah.
There's no org or edu or com at the end, just Usul Academy. It's a new style, you know, of website address, or they can register to our info session. We have info session to address, you know, questions of the interested students, or they can email.
There we are. Ibrahim has added it into the chat. So anyone who does have questions about the academy itself, feel free to check that out, inshallah. So one of the questions we have here is, what is the difference between an Islamic university in an Islamic country who will offer social sciences, etc., and Usul Academy in their approach?
Yes, I mean, the most important difference is that, you know, they are in person and full-time.
Yes.
You have to go there in person to study. Ours is part-time and online. You know, so we target a particular audience. You know, we target students who are registered in a university. You know, they are pursuing a degree, their professional degree, academic degree in a university, but they want to learn Islam as well in a systematic and serious way. And I emphasize systematic and serious. You know, we're not like a website where you have like many recorded videos. You just, you know, download or watch those videos by yourself. You know, we are offering a program, like 4 years program, building, you know, one by one. There is a sequence of disciplines you learn. There's a logic behind this program, and this curriculum has been in the making for the last 20 years. And we tested that curriculum in Turkey in several institutions like EDEB, ISAR, ISEME, Ibn Khaldun. You know, we tested this, but these programs are face-to-face, in person and online. But not everybody is fortunate, you know, to go in person to those universities, in person and full-time. Those who can go there, they can go there, no problem. But there are lots of people, you know, who cannot go to those places in person, who cannot commit themselves full time, studying. They want something part-time. They want something online that they can follow on their own pace in a flexible way. So our program is intended to these kind of people, who want to study Islam like double major. And that's why we call it dual degree, or who study Islam after they finish the university. Maybe they are doing MA or PhD or working, they want to like pursue in a serious manner. So we have like 1 year Arabic. To those who don't know Arabic, anyone can apply. Anyone can apply. After the application, if we accept the student, we assess his or her Arabic level. And if we see that like we have an excellent Arabic department, if they see that his or her level is not sufficient to continue with the program, then we have like 1 year Arabic program. It's an excellent and unique program, by the way, because it's academic Arabic, not like spoken Arabic, academic Arabic, only for Tullab al-Ilm, who are serious interest in studying that. So anyone can apply. If their Arabic is not sufficient, then they study Arabic for a year. It's online, very flexible, and you can do it if you are a student, because it's designed for you. Like while you are studying, you can do it. Or if you are working, you can do it, no problem. Because this is designed, for this kind of people. That's the major difference, between a university and Usul Academy. And also our curriculum is a very unique curriculum. You don't find our curriculum in any other university. I mean, like a curriculum that brings together the madrasa system, traditional Islamic madrasa system, Ders-i Nizami, and modern social science perspective, and also the spiritual dimension together. These three components are brought together in this curriculum, and you rarely find or in any other place a curriculum which brings together these three components. There are traditional Darul Uloom or madrasa, and there are universities like offer modern social sciences. Like we bring together madrasa, university, and the zawiya. These three types of education. That's our pedagogy. That's our curriculum. So that's another difference. Like the content is different. The way we offer is different, and also the content we offer is different.
Circle back once more to some of the technical parts of the institute. Is the Wusul Academy an accredited institute? So like the degree program, are the qualifications after it like recognized degrees, and if so, how do you envision, or what do you see for the future of the students and graduates of the academy?
Yeah, Wusul Academy is an American institution. It's incorporated in the city of Illinois. It's Chicago is institution, not in Istanbul, not in Turkey. I have to make it clear, because I'm Turkish. People assume it's incorporated or registered in Turkey. No, it is registered here in Chicago. By the way, I am now in Chicago. It is self-accredited. It is not accredited by any external organization. It's self-accredited because our goal ultimately is to grant ijaza ilmiya, to our students, and there is no accreditation agency in the world which can accredit al-ijaza al-ilmiya. because it's self-accredited. And our purpose is not to offer our students a degree that they can use like for their profession, because we want them to study in the university for their professional education, for their professional degree, and come to us to learn ilm, to be connected with their own tradition. I mean, our diploma may be accepted in some places, which don't care about accreditation, but in some countries, they put so much emphasis, on accreditation, and in those countries, it might not be accepted. So like in America, in some places, they don't care, whether you are accredited or not. But in some countries, they care about accreditation, so we cannot guarantee. And our purpose is not to offer an accredited degree. Our purpose is to offer a self-accredited degree and ilm, for those who want to learn ilm, knowledge of Islam. This is our purpose. And that's why we call it dual degree honors program. Dual degree honors program. Get your degree from a university and learn the Islamic perspective from us and shed light on your profession from that Islamic perspective. If you are a psychologist, shed light to a profession of psychology from that Islamic perspective. If you're an economist, learn Islamic approach to economy and shed light on your profession from this perspective. So that's our ultimate goal.
Okay, Jazakallah, Sheikh. We've done an hour, alhamdulillah, and I speak for myself and anyone else here. I've learned a lot. Someone who's also just recently graduated from a social science. So we won't take up too much more of your time, inshallah, and we'll wrap up here. For anyone who has more questions, Wusul Academy do have an open question day coming up, inshallah. So check out their website and their social media for any more information. Ibrahim has added the website link into the chat. And Jazakallah khair for your time. And inshallah everyone has benefited greatly, and may Allah bless you for educating us today.
Okay, thank you very much, and may Allah keep you in good health.
Ameen.
Jazakallah khair everyone once again for showing up, and apologies if we missed any questions, but again I've posted the link in the chat again, so and inshallah once we post this, the link will be available on the YouTube description. Other than that, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum everyone.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.